What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Tonight, we're talking Skeleton Crew, the real good guy.
I'm bonking my dad on the head.
Well, that was an unexpected entry there.
Yeah, you guys have to watch this.
Oh my god, we got 2 million viewers right now.
Right.
And as soon as he's done, they're all gone. So just let him keep going.
I know.
And we might even talk a little Daredevil Born Again trailer. But before we get into all of that, and before my brains are scrambled, Dave, Doug, how's it going, gentlemen?
Well, Keith, I am fan-freaking-tastic. Hey, Doug, okay, how are you doing, Doug? Let's get it back to Keith really quick.
Yeah, if we could just switch to full screen, just only Keith, taking up the entire screen, that would be amazing. Because you know what, Dave, let me tell you, I'm outstanding, but you know who I bet is even more outstanding? Keith! Take it away, Keith.
Everyone, welcome to Nitrous Stat. Welcome everyone to Nitrous Status Skibidi.
All
Today
right.
we'll be talking about Skibidi Toilet.
I guess we've had a name
Skibidi
change.
Toilet is a beloved series
Absolutely.
known across the Gooners and Wizards across the multiverse. And if you knew me in the past, I probably talked about Sonic.
They know, buddy. Okay, go do your math.
First movie with the multiverse, Wizard of
I
Oz.
don't have math.
Prove me wrong.
You have your study
Okay.
guide. Just look it over.
Dave, not only first movie with a multiverse,
Yeah.
first sort of fantasy where a person goes to another world. We're getting into the realm of anime, isekai.
I was going to say isekai. I remember that word.
I actually knew that one.
Mm-hmm. How many other stories were out there where someone's like, yeah, what if they just weren't on Earth anymore?
What if?
They stole our idea way back then.
Unbelievable. But I think you guys asked me how I was doing.
Yeah.
Outside of a slight headache, I am tremendous. I mean, not only did we get a season finale of Skeleton Crew, they finally dropped the Daredevil Born Again trailer.
That is what I was waiting for. Oh my gosh. And Keith, try to guess how many times I've watched it.
137.
Close, yeah. 138.
I've probably
Nice.
watched it about 60 or 70 times. It is so good.
It's really good. Oh my god, it's like, oh, just every visceral punch. And anyway, sorry. It's so good.
I actually only saw it once because, I had to go out and do some work and I wasn't around a screen. But
Dave, you're allowed to have a TV screen while you're driving. I'm pretty sure there's no law against that. You could have watched it while you're on the road.
no big deal.
No big deal.
What was I thinking?
No cop pulling you over when they saw you were watching this trailer would have given you a ticket.
Honestly,
No.
if they would have pulled you
Oh,
over,
right.
it's probably because they wanted to watch it with you.
That's true.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. It was a very brutal trailer. I think that's the word that kept popping into my head after I saw it. And yeah, they're definitely not holding back because it's on Disney.
I think Hobo Punisher was probably my favorite part.
That was great. But just so you guys know, we have a chatter out in Twitch. Sierra,
Ooh.
what's up? Always good to hear from you. Hope everything's going well.
Sierra is in Maryland tonight.
Oh, yeah?
Nice.
Yep.
Hopefully-
Oh, congratulations to her. She got that job she wanted to get.
Congratulations,
That's awesome.
Sierra.
Congratulations.
They're lucky to have you. So we're happy to hear you got the job. Well, should we talk Skeleton Crew, gentlemen?
I think we should.
Do it.
It was the season finale of Skeleton Crew. And it played
Was
out
indeed.
exactly how we thought it would.
More or less.
Yeah. Jod continues to pretend to be the emissary. He ends up taking Fern and her mom to meet the supervisor, which, as we said many weeks ago, turned out to be an AI droid. Voiced by, did you guys figure it out or wait for credits like I did to see who did the voice?
No, please tell me.
Stephen Fry.
Stephen Fry, really?
Yes. I'm like, God, that voice sounds familiar. I saw it and I was like, well. And, the AI droid, or just the droid, I'm not going to call it an AI droid, it's too much these days, kind of figures out that part of his story is not accurate because he knew about Order 66 and that the Jedi were blown out. Jod ends up taking out the supervisor, which in the worst cliche I hate of films and anything else, it shuts down all the droids.
Yeah, they got that from
the Mothership Protocol.
Yeah.
I think I first saw that on Independence Day.
Oh, it's very overused.
Yeah, back in '92 or whenever that came out, and it's just like they just ran with it after that, and it was so easy to defeat too.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't, obviously whoever put the supervisor there didn't expect anything like this to happen because there was absolutely no defense.
He poked it in the eye.
Yeah.
that was all it took.
All it took.
This giant computer that's filling up an entire room, but just poke you in the eye a little bit.
Where should we put the CPU? Right behind the eye. No one will damage it.
All right, do we have
there.
any redundancies? No. Also, connect the entire planet's power grid to this. Is that smart? Yeah.
Sure.
Of course. Who wouldn't do this? Come on.
And then
What's the worst that could happen?
And then we get the pirates getting clearance to come down to the planet. They're blasting everything into sight. They're going crazy. Neil and Wim and the dad are trying to get to the ship with KB. They get to the ship. They find out it's locked down. So the dad's like, I can unlock it. And Neil had fallen down and he's okay, but he's going to get him some cover. Wim and his dad get there. They try to trick Jod. It doesn't really work. But he ends up turning on the power anyway. They get the ship out. They want to bring down the interplanetary defense shield, the barrier. He doesn't want him to.
But, Keith, don't remember, if you pull the lever, so your choice is either you reset the satellites to, you have a ship that's allowed to go through, or you pull that one single lever and it destroys all of them. Those are the only two choices.
Yeah.
Were you guys getting like some Rick and Morty story train sort of vibes?
I was going to say yes. I was going to say some Rick and Morty vibes.
Rick, why did you put a timer on this? Because Morty, there has to be some sort of thing in the way.
There has to be a consequence. Right. If you don't want to be meta, stop breaking stuff down.
I'm watching. I'm like, really? That's okay. Our choice is you have to have the right ship or blow up all of the satellites. Those the people who designed this entire infrastructure have got to have been like, the Republic should have fallen. My Lord, what was the thought process? Like, who was looking at the blueprints and was like, yeah, this tracks. This is perfect.
Did you see on the bottom of the lever where it said you need 2 people to pull this down? It was just plainly on there. Good planning.
It was, but ended up they pull it down. Well, the mom and the dad pull it down. KB gets out in the ship with SM-33's head. They end up calling Kim, who answers instantly.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Dave, you were asking how is she going to make that call? Well,
there you go. No problem at all.
Just did.
They must have Verizon out there.
As long as it's any non-boost mobile phone.
That's right. And, hey, we have a hyperspace lane going right there. They'll be there in minutes.
I'm sorry, you have a hyperspace lane going directly to the planet that nobody knows exists. Got it.
Yep.
Does anyone know why we have this hyperspace lane? Probably something.
Nah, there's nothing out there.
There's like an energy sphere. People like to go look at it. So, it's like a sightseeing tour.
I can't say I've ever heard of an Atten.
Can't say I heard of any Atten. And then
Mini Star Wars tangent here. Do you think they ever have to, like, repair the hyperspace lanes? You think, like, they're ever like, oh yeah, you're gonna actually have to reroute on this hyperspace lane because we're doing construction, we're repairing a couple of hyperspeed holes, and there's a little bit of light speed wear and tear. You get it.
They get the space whales to do that.
The Purgle are known for cleaning up hyperspace lanes.
Yeah, they're good. They do their thing.
And then the Onyx Cinder is shot down. It comes crashing down to Earth. KB is hoping to save it.
Mm-hmm.
All looks like it could be lost. The X-Wings show up within minutes, blast the pirates out of the sky.
Just like, wait a minute. They're hovering over a city. Can you move somewhere else? Can you try and get them to evade you or something to get away from the population? Nah, shoot them down right over the town.
The one thing I did like that Jod said.
All right.
I want, don't kill everybody. We need them to be our workers. He was basically thinking, this is our cash cow forever.
Yep.
We are going to
we're
have access to this planet
Yeah.
and have unlimited credits to do whatever we want. And those rotten kids ruined everything.
Question about that plan, though. Like, eventually, don't you think he was going to reach a point where... Okay, so we saw how big that vault was and how many more vaults there were. How many more people or how much more work would he need to do to have enough... Like, was he really thinking in his mind, we're going to spend every last one of these credits in here? Considering just one of them, a single one of them, people were like, whoa, holy crap, you're rich.
And Brad Williams is out in the chat on YouTube. I wonder if hyperspace lanes are more like Victor Airways. Yeah, could be. They've never really explained it. It's always like this. It's like a path you take.
I assume it's just like a route. It's
like a star map,
okay, this is the closest connecting, yeah.
Like you plug this into your nav computer and it'll take you there in hyperspace.
Mm-hmm. And as Han Solo said, you do have to plug it into a navigational computer because if you don't, you could end up in the middle of a star.
Yeah, or an exploded planet.
Yeah,
And
want that.
And then, of course, our heroes race to the Onyx Cinder crash to find KB still alive.
Yeah, and the way she falls and lands on top of the... landing on that, it's not like Scrooge McDuck, man. It's not like you land on it and it's like very easy to slide down.
Do not try to ruin DuckTales on this stream, Dave. That is unacceptable behavior.
I'm pretty sure Family Guy already did. I'm gonna use all my money to create a giant money pool like Scrooge McDuck. Dives into it, breaks all of his bones instantly. It's hard. It's a solid mass. It's not liquid at all.
Any show that would think a wonderful name like Keith is the most unmasculine name ever carries no credit here, Doug.
But you love that show.
I do. It is a great show.
But then I was going to say something else. It's hanging there. And, clearly it had already shifted twice while they were watching it when she fell.
Uh-huh.
And, like, when they get up there to get her, they aren't in a big hurry to get out from under the thing. That's what I was thinking the whole time. I'm like, get out of there. That's going to fall.
Finally, the mom came and said it, too. And it was like...
Your parenting was taking over. Can we all tell that Dave is a father? Get out of there now. What are you doing? Do you even know how filthy that is?
Don't play under that.
That is going to fall on your head, and you're going to have it's going to leave a mark.
And then, a few things we don't know. Jod is seemingly still at large as far as we know. We never saw him taken under thing. Wim is looking up at the ships and hoping to become a Jedi or something. So, even though this was a complete story, there's still room to tell more. Do we want more? Will we get more? The funny thing is, because of the low cost of this series, they have been talking that they're thinking already of a season 2. Even though it is the worst rated Star Wars show, the premiere, we have not seen. It had lower premiere numbers than The Acolyte.
Wow.
That's probably because of The Acolyte.
Probably.
I don't disagree. I think a lot of people were probably a little upset with that. But we don't know what it's done after. If it's gaining audience as it goes on, that might be true. But they did leave a few things open. I mean, for me, there was a lot of sort of silliness in this. Like we talked about, the thing to pull down to shut off the barrier, being able to kill this.
The fact that one AI controlled everything on the entire planet. Oh, but somehow, don't worry, at the very end, all the lights come back on.
Well, he reset the lights. Remember, he pressed those 2 buttons and it turned back on.
Yeah, okay. 2 buttons.
Yeah, that's all you needed to do. I mean, first just stick the lightsaber in the eye and destroy everything, but then you only take 2 buttons to fix it all.
That's right.
And then we got the X-Wings who got there in like 2 minutes. Now, it should have taken a little longer. I think they had room, and I felt like they wanted to get this episode done in 40 minutes or whatever, 42 minutes, whatever it was. They could have, Jod had already said, don't kill these people.
Mm-hmm.
We want the great work to continue so we can, create more credits for us and, we can do as we please, all that stuff. And I don't know if it was they didn't want the show to be too long to kind of stretch that out a little bit, or because, this was very kid friendly, we'll say, very geared towards kids. I think they wanted to have that, oh, hey, we're here to save the day type moment. So the X-Wing showed up and knocked everything out. But it was still like, and I still liked it, don't get me wrong. I thought Skeleton Crew was good. But they did some things, I think, as an adult, we're going to look at it and be like, that's not the best choice. That's a little silly. It happened in The Phantom Menace quite a bit. It happened in Attack of the Clones, things like that. And it happened here.
Seeing that, that's why my first and pretty much only thought about this after watching it was that was the most Star Wars ending they could have pulled off. It was such an average Star Wars ending where the good guys swoop in at the last minute, save the day, everybody cheers, cut to credits.
Yeah. 100% accurate. And
I was like, oh, that seemed to end quicker than I expected, because when I initially, looked at the episode time, I'm like, oh, this one's a little bit longer than the others. All right, cool. They're going to really let it play out. There's going to be some real, things are going to get in the way. We're going to have to really worry about, what's Jod going to... Oh, no, it's over. Okay.
Oh, hey, Jar Jar Binks.
Might as well.
I was very happy there was no weird cameos that didn't fit or anything like that. This did a very Andor type job of just saying, we're going to stay away from those established characters. We're writing our own story. This is our own little thing. They didn't try to shoehorn in Luke Skywalker or anything like that. And I appreciate it for that a little bit. They went out of their way to tell their own story with their own characters. So, they get some credit for that. But, and one of the best, I think, scenes in this entire finale. We'll call it season finale because it does seem like Lucasfilm is thinking of doing a season 2. When Jod sees his entire plan falling apart, and this is probably the closest he has ever been to a victory like this. The expression on his face was tremendous. We've talked about how great
Jude Law.
Yeah, Jude Law has been in this.
Oh, yeah.
Man, just his expression, it was just like depression mixed with sadness, mixed with maybe just a touch of... I was like, now that's acting, people. He did a great job on that. And that was probably the best part of this entire finale, was his look when everything was lost.
One thing that I was actually happy with, and this does go against what I had initially predicted, I thought for sure that they were going to do what a lot of these other shows have been doing, where give him a redemption arc. He's gonna, sacrifice the money or himself or something at the very end. But they didn't do that. They didn't fall on that, and I'm actually kind of happy that they didn't. They, made us think that Jod was going to be this happy-go-lucky little, piratey Jedi guy, and he's friendly with the kids. And then as they slowly transition him more into a villain and more into a villain, they didn't let him come back. He ended this season, possibly series, we don't know, as a villain. And you know what? Good for them. Good for Lucasfilm. Good for Star Wars for actually doing it. Not every villain needs a redemption arc.
It was almost a twist in not having that twist. And
Yeah.
I appreciated that.
I appreciated that.
And Brad
That
said,
was pretty silly.
yeah, Brad said it was Space Goonies. A
Yeah.
lot of people have said that, but Goonies, had this sort of magical aura to it. Like, you watched it and you were just enthralled. Maybe it was because I was a kid, I don't know. But I didn't feel it with this. This didn't have that same vibe as Goonies, where it's like, oh my gosh, this is so great. And people are quoting it 40 years later. Still, hey, you go. Yeah. And I don't think this had that same feel. They wanted this to be Space Goonies, or they wanted it to be Star Wars Sandlot or something. But it didn't quite get there. That was what they were aiming for. And I think they fell short. Now, once again, that is not saying it was bad. I don't think it was bad at all.
Oh, no.
But it wasn't great. And it definitely is not going to be a Goonies or a Sandlot or some, kid's treasure that's going to be, loved for 50, 60 years down the road. It was a good show. Better than some that Star Wars has done recently. But still had room to improve.
There was a scene in there I thought was a little, I don't know, unearned, and I don't know if you guys remember it, but it's when Wim got the lightsaber and he turned it on and he looks at him with this mad look, and I bet they were thinking, "Oh, that's badass," and I just felt like that was unearned, and like they wanted it to be badass, but in the previous scene, I
Where
don't
he
know.
dropped it and almost dropped it through the floor.
Yeah, he didn't have the right build up to that scene, so I thought, oh, that was kind of cheesy. I know what they were going for, but I thought it was kind of cheesy.
It's a finale episode. They got to wrap it all up. He's got to, have his Jedi lightsaber moment. I kind of thought the same thing. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, all right. What's he actually going to do with it, though?
Right.
See,
he ended up losing the next scene. So.
See, I looked at it as he learned a little bit from the last time he touched it. He understood which way to point it, and that was about it. And they didn't have him. Once again,
We're talking about lightsaber, right?
Yes. They didn't have him all of a sudden blocking blaster bolts. If Jod was flaring at him.
Right.
Jod even knew. Jod was not.
It's not Ray.
Yeah. Jod was not threatened one bit by him holding that lightsaber.
No.
But it just showed that Wim can learn. He had almost, cut his leg off with it the last time, almost cut through the floor. So he knew where to point it this time. I didn't mind that scene at all. I was kind of like, okay, he's got the lightsaber. Please don't have Jod start blasting him and him shooting him all around the room. Because then I would have been like, that is not how the Force works.
Speaking of how the Force works, I like that Jod used the Force to push the kids out of the way and push parents out. Like, for everybody who is still not quite sure, still kind of wondering, I don't know, maybe it's magnets, maybe he doesn't really have the Force, and it's like, no, I kind of figured, like, pretty much from his first appearance, the way the key floated to him, I was like, yeah, that's not magnets, that's definitely the Force. And so the way that he used it to push them out of the way, I'm like, that was cool. First off, good use of the Force. Second, good way to make sure that, once again, full villain. We're not going back.
Yeah.
And Brad says the quote for this show is, "I ain't heard of no Atin." That's an excellent point, Brad. That will be said on this show every time we talk Star Wars from here till eternity.
And everybody won't know what you're talking about.
They'll be like, that doddering old fool on Not Your Status Quo is just acting crazy again.
All of a sudden, we're gonna.
I ever heard of no skillet crew?
And then they'll cut to the scene of me being hit in the head with the hammer from earlier today.
It's always gonna come up, Dad. Did you take your dementia medication?
Dementia.
I ain't heard of
medication?
no dementia medication.
And Keith's answer to that would be, "Who were you again?"
Oh, that's sad. Oh no.
Dad, do you want to help us wash the dishes? Break the dishes? Okay, we're good.
Did you mention Neil being acting as the distraction?
Yes, I said he did. I
Okay.
didn't talk about him actually firing the giant turbo laser at the ship.
Yeah, yeah.
And once again, he took a shot, he hit the ship, but at least they didn't have these pirates like, oh, what's going on? And have, Neil blow the ship out of the sky. I was really worried they were going to have the kids save the day and be these heroes when that would have been just a little too far-fetched for me. It was nice they did little things to help, but, it was the X-Wings showing up and the B-Wings. Another thing I almost forgot. Those B-Wings attacking that pirate ship with, like, the lasers was fantastic. I was like, I didn't know this, but I have needed to see that for many, many years.
The one thing that I will say about that is because they looked Death Star-esque in their destructive power, it almost seems like, right in line with what the New Republic would be like, because from what they've shown us so far in the different Mandalorian episodes and everything like that, the New Republic is very much a mix of, we want to bring back the old Republic, we really don't want to change too much, except for the fact we're going to bring down the military force. But also all of this great tech that the Emperor used, yeah, we're totally not getting rid of it all. We're going to use it too. And it's like, come on, guys. That's, like, you're asking to like, fail.
Well, and they did.
Well, that's how we got the Death Star planet, part 2. The one that had the belt, instead of just being an entire planet that's a Death Star, just a belt that goes around the middle.
Who could have ever seen this coming?
What was it called again?
You talking about in Force Awakens?
Yeah, what
Yeah.
was...
They called it, oh my god, it was...
Star Killer Base?
Yes.
Star Killer
Thank you,
Base,
Star
yes.
Killer Base, yeah.
I'm like, it
Oh
was
my god,
originally...
yeah, because
what-
it absorbs stars. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that... that was on the other night, and I didn't even watch it. I was flipping
I can
channels.
understand. Somehow Palpatine survived.
There are aspects of a lot of these Star Wars shows and those movies that I like. The entire thing, not quite, but I will say one of my favorite moments in Force Awakens, and I don't care what anybody thinks about it, it's when Rey is strapped to the torture chair and she's trying to figure out, like, she kind of has a vague idea of the Force. She's got this sort of, like, storybook, I've heard the legends, kind of like, oh yeah, obviously it's like, you're able to convince people to do things. And you can watch her try it out. It doesn't work the first couple of times. And then you see it as, like, they do the little sound effect, the whoosh, as, she finally gains control of the Force in that moment. And to me, that was a perfect scene, and then it's the rest of the movie. Oh, that and Han getting killed, because that's just what Harrison Ford wanted.
Do you know who the stormtrooper was that she was trying to mind control?
Daniel
no.
Craig.
Daniel Craig.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Or I probably heard it at one point and forgot.
Yeah, there were a lot of cameos like that in those. I think it was just in the first one. But a lot of people who wanted to be in Star Wars that took tiny cameo type roles.
Yeah,
Oh, well, that's kind of neat.
it is.
But yeah, same thing kind of with this show is, there were a lot of scenes that I really enjoyed. And, especially with, I'd say probably less so with this last episode. But I did like the idea that, as you said, Keith, I like the idea that the kids weren't the ultimate heroes of the day. They weren't the ones who, jumped to the rescue and Neil can suddenly operate a blaster and shoot down all these ships. I like the fact that, yes, the X-Wings come to save the day. And also, I think one of the main heroes was our robot pal. Well, and his detached head.
Yes. And his little furry friend.
Right.
Yeah, they didn't go full Phantom Menace.
Yes, true. Oh my god, oh Lord, I forget about how that ends every time until somebody brings it up, and all of a sudden the file cabinet creaks open in my head. I'm like, oh right. Now this is pod racing. No, it's not. Shut up.
Once again, we
You know
did
the
get
best.
something good out of Phantom Menace. Saying things are wizard.
Yes. Why didn't any of the kids say that?
I don't know. I was waiting for it, and then I'm like, okay, maybe it's okay they didn't, because they've been behind that barrier since before, Anakin Skywalker. Well, they haven't been, but the barrier's
Neil.
been up.
Neil actually shooting something down and then yelling "wizard." See, that would be the only way that would have been an acceptable moment.
And then the
Otherwise, it
Mandalorian
would've been
flies
like,
by in his Naboo starfighter. Hey, that's my word. Takes off.
Oh God, no. We see the Millennium Falcon. It just happens to be there. And Han goes, "Good shot, kid."
Now don't get cocky.
That would
Why
be
are we
awesome.
sitting here like actively trying to make it even worse?
I don't know.
What is wrong with us? Are we broken?
We are
Well,
not
it's-
broken.
It wasn't horrible. At the same time, we were running it down. It wasn't horrible.
No. It was basically like it was pretty much what I expected. It was a very Star Wars ending. It didn't do anything. They played it too safe, in my opinion. They were just like, look, the Acolyte was not great. People didn't like it. We're just gonna do what we do best. We're gonna do a Star Wars. Okay, here are the stars. Here's the war. Done.
Not written by Filoni, obviously.
It was not. And it was, totally geared for kids. This was a
Yeah.
very kid-friendly story. This was to get new kids into Star Wars, I think, because
Sure.
Andor is not where you want to bring, a young kid into Star Wars. Probably the best Star Wars we have gotten, maybe ever. But still, that's much more for us older people who grew up with Star Wars and got that more mature setting and tone. And I'm still waiting to watch this with my son to see what he thinks about it, because like if I was 7 years old, I probably would have enjoyed this a lot more. The little things that bothered me, like the X-wing showing up right away, the entire planet being taken offline because you took out, the AI overseer. Notice I used a little Fallout quote there, the overseer. But I was just like, and it wasn't something where I was like, oh dear God, this is terrible. I was like, why did they choose that? All the
Right.
robots shut down. No, are they trying to pay homage to the Phantom Menace when all of the bots went down? No, probably.
It kinda felt like it.
Okay, fine, you guys. I was really hoping it would have been for kids, but a little more to our sensibilities too, where you can make something.
SpongeBob.
Yes, SpongeBob is a good example. Kids love it, but it has that content too that is geared towards more results. Like if they would have just in this final
Adventure
episode,
Time and Steven Universe, other two examples where it's for kids, but they're able to explore different ways to tell a story. Where even if you're a kid, it's challenging. That's the word I've been looking for. They're trying something different and they're making it a bit more challenging. They're not playing it safe. Where you've got these shows where they've got expanded lore and they're making people get into it based on all of the extra stuff that they put in there. To me it shows when you've got creators that add that much to it and put that much thought and care into how everything plays out. To me that shows that they give a shit about the story, about their characters. When they do the proper world building. To me this felt like people who were handed a project that was already partially done. They're like, here's a Star Wars, please, put a story around it, but you have to keep it into this world and do that. And they're like, all right, here's our characters. We're going to do a random character generator. There we go. Here's our story. Boom. And it's like they didn't try to do anything outside the box. They were just like, we're going to keep it very strictly, normal, plain old Star Wars. That's it.
do you think that is because of the negative reception to a lot of the
Yes.
projects?
Yes. And
I do too.
also, I think it's because of what you were saying. They're also trying to get kids into Star Wars. They're trying to, they're trying to move away from just the us are kind of people yelling about Star Wars all the time. They're trying to get younger people, trying to get your kids and younger. Like, okay, maybe we can get them to have the same feeling of Star Wars that other people say. But if you tell them, oh, here's a movie from 1970, they're going to be like, I don't want to watch that, Dad.
You know, and to me, Star Wars is a thing that's better passed down from like people like us to our children or our nieces and nephews or whatever. That's better passed down than trying to get somebody, you know, like off the street who hasn't, you know, like a kid who hasn't seen Star Wars and he sees this. I don't think that would this show would have got them into it.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think this had the magic of a Goonies, or for me, walking out of A New Hope when I was 7 years old in 1978, and being like, "This is the best movie I've ever seen in my life." And my mom saying, "You say that about every movie," and then me.
And you're
Still do.
48 years later, and I'm still like, Star Wars. But it wasn't bad. We keep saying that. I don't want anyone to come into this and think like, oh, their bashing Skeleton Crew was terrible. It just was good. It was for kids. I'm sure kids enjoyed it a lot more than we did because they don't see the little things. They haven't been jaded through years of watching. And I've often said this quite often. I think when I was little, I was always like, how could this critic hate this movie? It was so funny and it was so good. And then as you watch more movies and more TV shows, you get to a show where you're like, oh my God, I've seen this done so many times. It's just not great. And someone else, not as, who hasn't seen as much, is like, what do you mean? This was so great. I've never seen anything like it. Just watch some more TV. And I think that's where we are to a certain point. It takes something really special to be like, oh, wow, that was so good. That was tremendous. We loved it. And this wasn't it. And I'm not bashing it in any way. It just didn't have the magic of Star Wars. It was a Star Wars, as Doug puts it. It had a very Star Wars-y story and a very Star Wars-y ending. But it wasn't that magical piece.
Star Wars-esque.
Yeah.
And as we like to say on this show, it was a show.
It was, yeah.
And we watched it.
Out of all the shows that, we watched last year, the end of last year, and the beginning of this year, Skeleton Crew was one of them.
It is.
And we do have a few things, that could for what's next. What's next for Skeleton Crew?
Ooh.
We do have Jod, who still seems to be uncaptured. He's still at large. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for.
My assumption is he's got to be. I assume after the X-Wings got done blowing stuff up, one of them probably landed, I assume. Probably arrested him. I don't know.
See, I don't think so. I think he's smart enough to get away. He is laying low at Atten, trying to find his next scheme, probably to steal more credits and get off planet or whatever. And then we also have the fact that the barrier is now down.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to put it back up. I don't think they want to be sheltered from the rest of the world. The fact that they're like, wait, there was a war? What do you mean Alderaan is destroyed? I think they're going to want to be a part of the universe again. And I think there is stories that you could tell with that, especially with the kids. Wim is never going to be able to be an analyst, second degree or whatever on that planet. He will go stir
He even
crazy.
said as much to his dad.
Yeah.
His dad even brings it up. He's like, well, we got to study to take the test. And he's like, Dad, I can't. There's no point. Like, why would I even want to do that at this point? Oh, how else are you going to, get a job? And it's like, obviously, like, we kind of knew that was going to happen because how do you, take a kid who's been sheltered his entire life? It'd be the equivalent of having Luke Skywalker go through all of the Star Wars movies and then be told, oh, it turns out your aunt and uncle are alive all along and your uncle really needs help with those with the moisture farm.
Yeah.
Now, just so you know, Attack on Show is on Twitch, and he's like, hey, fellas, I really enjoyed it. Worried there won't be another season. Would have liked a little more closure. Agreed. Thought it was a great start for a new series. Great. We can debate that. I thought it was a good start. I'm definitely not against it getting another season, especially if Jude Law returns. I loved his character, and I thought he was great. I'm surprised you guys are for it. Jod was great. I think it opened the door for worse things to come. Now, wait, Attack on Show, are you saying worse things to come, like for
Probably in the universe, I assume is what he means.
Okay, that's what I thought too, and I think you're right. I think once people find out that this treasure planet is now open, they're going to need some protection, and there is a lot of things that could come about. You know, there are stories to tell. Jod could bring other mercenaries there. Hey, I know where this planet is. We need to get there before other people learn of it. There's, 1,137 other vaults. Now, do you know why there was 1,137 other vaults?
It had something to do with THX.
Because that means there's 1,138 vaults together. So
Yeah.
THX one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Attack on Show says, I think Jod wanted it for himself, but now knows there's worse things to come now that they aren't hidden. Yes, he's definitely smart enough to know if he wants to get anything out of it, he needs to get it fast before the rest of the pirates and everybody else comes. This First Order could come, want all that cash. Who knows?
Exactly. So yeah, that's the cynical mind in me. That's why, on one hand, I am happy that they, wrapped it up, gave it a happy ending, because the more realistic, cynical part of my mind is thinking, yeah, but what happens next? Because those satellites are now down. Everybody knows that AT-ATN is out there. They're now aware this hyperspace lane that just happens to go right to the planet that has been there for who knows how long can now take everybody there. So now you've got two parties that are going to want all those credits, because that seems to be the ongoing story that everybody knows about AT-ATN, is the fact that they've got a bunch of credits. It's a huge treasure planet. So yeah, you're going to have two different, interested parties trying to go there and get the money. You've got the remnants of the Empire / what will become the First Order. And then, of course, you've got the New Republic. And we've already seen from Mandalorian, Ahsoka. We've seen from Ahsoka that the new Senate, they're not exactly totally in line with all of the same ideals like maybe Mon Mothma and Leia really have in mind for like their idea of what a New Republic should be. A lot of them seem to have this sort of mindset, well, we just need to put everything back to the way it was. And I guarantee they're going to exploit AT-ATN. Rather than, going to this planet out of goodwill, like, hey, we are so sorry that, everybody kind of forgot about you, that you've been hidden in the shroud, that you had no idea there was a whole war, and we're going to reintegrate you into the galaxy. Instead, they're going to be like, great, this is good, load up the ships with all the credits and keep at it.
And, that's a good point, because right now, only the New Republic knows it's open. Because they got the call from Kim to come save the kids, the good guys. But the story is going to get out there. There's probably some pirates that might have escaped. Jod might be able to call some people in. The story is going to get out there, and we could see. And this leads into Attack on Show's comment, which I really like, and I didn't think of it this way.
Okay.
This could lead to a major battle happening at AT-ATN between the New Republic and forces, the First Order, or other things trying to get it. And what Attack on Show says, I tie it to how Clone Wars started. This started young. I think there's potential now to grow the story and mature it just like Clone Wars did. If they could do that, I would be very happy. Because you're right. I stopped watching Clone Wars the first season and then was brought back into it, as we've talked about before. And, you're probably right. And I hope they do it. There has been talk about a second season. This show wasn't overly expensive to make, and even though it started out with not the best ratings, the watch minutes was lower than the Acolyte. I think this could be like Andor, where it builds up, because there's been a lot of good word of mouth. A lot of people are enjoying it. There's a lot less vitriol online for it. The Star Wars theories, the the den of nerds, all these people who usually hate everything, are kind of like, hey, I like this show's good. It's this is a good show. It's the best Star Wars we've gotten in the last couple of years, or whatever.
True.
So there's some good word of mouth. So it may build, and if they could do that, Attack on show, and build it up, and make it more mature, as we've seen in the Clone Wars cartoon, then I will say the season 1 finale was still just good, but man, did they build on it and make something awesome.
One thing that I think you might be forgetting, though, there, Keith.
I forget nothing. How dare you?
Well, some of the books, and I don't remember which show, there was, I want to say it was in The Mandalorian. It was the one with the doctor who used to work for
Moff Gideon?
My gosh. Moff Gideon, thank you, yes. When he got, reintegrated and given a new job. In that scene where he was talking about cloning and he was walking out of what used to be the Senate Hall, there was a couple of people that were talking, and they seemed rather ambiguous. Like, they were mentioning, like, Empire, New Republic, who really cares? And in the books, they also state that there are members of the New Republic Senate that are also sympathetic to the Empire. There are people who think, actually, the galaxy was much stronger with the Emperor in charge. It's like, there are so many people, just like we have, seen in some of the Star Wars movies, where there are people who are not totally sure that the Jedi even exist, or that they were real, or that it's just a story. How many people actually believe, if they were told, yeah, it turns out the Emperor was an evil space wizard? All right, sure, okay. I get that he was, very conservative, but an evil space wizard?
Just because you don't agree with his politics, you don't make him out to be a villain like that.
Exactly.
That's because he didn't like paying overtime. All right, that's kind of evil.
So that going off of what you were saying and what Attack on Show is saying, not only do I think that we're going to have two differing parties going after each other, but I think we're going to have a fight from within. We're going to have those people that are part of the New Republic, but still sympathetic to the Empire. They're going to have their own ideas for what to do with that Atten and what to do with the credits.
And we have seen, even in Ahsoka, the first season, how people want to handle it. People in the Senate didn't want to go after Grand Admiral Thrawn and all that other things. So I think that's an excellent point. And I really hope they handle it in that fashion. It's not just a good versus evil, which is really what we got in this season. It was very, this is what's good, this is what's bad. Exactly. So there is room to grow. I hope they do. Yeah. And I hope it gets a second season.
I do too. Because one of the things that I said after we were watching Andor was one of the first Star Wars media that I think actually made me realize, it put it front and center. Oh, the Empire sucks. They really are the bad guys. Like, I mean, you watch them in the movies, and all you really see is cannon fodder, the stormtroopers that, miss all the shots, which, whatever, and you get...
Empire bad.
Or oh my gosh, or the Rebels cartoon where the Empire and Thrawn are defeated like every friggin' episode. And it's like, it's nice to actually have a little bit of world building, and I think this show is too afraid to do that. I think they were trying to play it safe on purpose because of shows like The Acolyte. I think they were afraid to do anything weird or strange or out of the ordinary or really expand the world building. And if this is as successful as we hope it is, and, it does bring in more of a following into watching Star Wars, hopefully you are correct, Keith. I hope that they do have a season 2, that they're less afraid to go outside of the box. I have a feeling some studio heads may tell them to shove that back in the Star Wars box. But hopefully they feel, able to, or less scared to go out and try something different.
Let's hope. I think that would be a good way to go. They could even try to tie it all into the stuff going on in the Mandalorian and stuff.
Yeah. And you know what? You don't even have to show us the Mandalorian. Don't stick Baby Yoda in there. You can tie it into what's going on with the government, though. Expand your world.
That is exactly what I was going to say. It doesn't have to have... No, you're fine. You don't have to have the Mandalorian showing up there, but it just has that rippling effect throughout the other shows, because these are all happening at the same time. And that would be a very nice way to do it. Well, should we rate this final episode and the first season. Notice I said first season of Skeleton Crew, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
I'll go first this time to shake things up. While there,
Hold on.
I'm shook.
while there was a bunch of silly things that I won't say I rolled my eyes at, I was still like, there was a lot of good in this too. I really liked seeing the B-Wings and the X-Wings show up and take on the pirates. I thought Jod not turning to good and having that redemption arc was the right way to go. We don't need every villain having a redemption arc. Sometimes bad people are just bad people and they stay that way. And I thought that was a nice way to handle Jod. He started off as someone you think can be good, and as it goes on, he gets worse and worse every episode. And Jude Law was phenomenal in this. And like I said earlier, like when he realizes that he has lost again with being that close to his ultimate goal, kudos. That was a masterclass in acting. But overall, I can't say this was great. Was it above average? Yes. Was it good? Yes. So I'm going to give the final episode a 6.2. I thought it could have been better. I thought it was one of the weaker episodes of Skeleton Crew. I thought there was a lot better episodes out there. But overall, I'm going to give the entire series a 7. Because I do think it was good. I think it was worth a watch. And I am planning on watching it again with my son. And I want to see how he reacts to it. This is a kid-friendly show. And I just want to see if it's just I didn't enjoy it as much because of how jaded I am at my old age. And just see how he reacts. But 6.2 and a 7 from me.
I pretty much agree with you completely, Keith. Like, it's weird. As you were saying your ratings, I was like, oh, damn. You, guessed exactly about what I was going to say. But
that's why I wanted to go first, because I saw your notes.
Oh, you did? Oh, no.
Now you got nothing to say, Doug. You
Oh,
stole it all.
no. Well, no, I mean, I agree with pretty much everything that Keith said. So, again, yeah, he was an amazing actor. I couldn't think of anyone better to play the role of, a pirate captain / Jedi thing. But I think where they dropped the ball, and again, I think it just boils down to they were afraid to try anything different. They were so vague with his backstory. I really thought they were going to give us a couple of flashback scenes, maybe expand on it. But at the same time, I also saw The Acolyte, and I can see why they didn't want to do that. They were probably already told, I swear to God, if you put a single flashback in here, we are going to burn this set to the ground. I get why they didn't. I wish they had tried something a bit more adventurous with it. But yeah, it was a. This is what I should have put on the thumbnail: a perfectly serviceable Star Wars. It was about. I mean, it was fine. It was fine. It wasn't anything. It did have me also, like you, kind of rolling my eyes. But I did pick up my phone, so that was interesting. I wasn't really bored. I guess I was intrigued to see if it was actually going to go anywhere other than what I expected. It didn't, other than the fact that, like you said, I was truly surprised that they didn't give Jod a redemption arc. And I'm glad for it, because I thought for sure. You guys saw my previous What's Next from our other streams. I thought for sure they were going to do something like that where he's going to, give up all the money to save the kids, or he's going to sacrifice himself for the good of the planet or something. His moral compass is going to finally be like, yes, I am a Jedi after all. But no, he was just straight up, yeah, my master was a Jedi, told me how to harness my power, but I'm a friggin' pirate, guys. Force push, you suck. Give me my money. And then, I think what really drove it home was when I thought, okay, he's going to grab what he wants and he's going to take off. No, he's actually keep them alive so they can keep working and make me more. It's oh, so we're doing a slavery now. Okay, buddy. They're really trying to drive home. You're the bad. Right.
But the thing was, Dave's been a slave to the great works for all of these years. He wasn't changing anything. He just wanted to take advantage of it.
I know, and it's so messed up. But yeah, we did have a couple of fun scenes. I liked seeing Neil be a distraction. Neil forever. I love that kid. He's the best. I thought KB, somehow crash landing perfectly and being fine. A little hokey, but all right, sure. And like I said, it seemed to end very quickly and on a positive note. Like, the only thing it was missing was literally just not having a nice, happy ending theme song with
Like a
Ewoks
ceremony.
burning corpses.
Yeah.
If they would have had Ewoks dancing, then it would have been the
Like,
quintessential Star
no.
Wars ending.
The robots reactivate and they're just doing a little dance, and I don't even know.
Save Nub Nub for me, whatever that song was.
Yup, nub. We see a Force ghost appear, and Wynn's like, "Who are you?" Doesn't matter.
I was the Jedi that taught Jod. I apologize.
I'm
That
so
was a
sorry.
lady.
Goodbye.
That was a lady. Come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I'm going to give this episode a 6, and I'm going to give the series overall a 7. It was fine. It's not bad. It's probably some of the better Star Wars we've seen in a while. I wish they were allowed to be more adventurous, but at the same time, I get it. I understand where they're coming from. I understand there's probably stipulations, and whether this was somebody who either didn't really care that much about Star Wars and was just hired to keep it simple and plain, or whether this is somebody who is being told by the studio, this is your outline, stick to it or else. I don't know what the case was, but it was perfectly serviceable Star Wars and had a very Star Wars end.
Now,
Watch it or don't,
Before you start, Dave, Attack on Show said I'm good with a 7. Jude Law was perfect. I think was a great launch and ready for more. And he said at the end they should have had a group laugh, like 80s cartoon style.
And then freezing.
That would have been phenomenal. Just
Yes.
we saved the day.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Credits.
And then the credits.
Like the Fall Guy or something, or A-Team.
Yes. Exactly. Like Full House.
Yeah.
Now get back to doing the great work. I know, and knowing is half the battle.
Well, guys, you expect it. I'm not as positive. I'm not even as positive as you guys on this last episode.
Anyone who
We made
watches
fun of
this, our little show, knows that, Dave.
It's not surprised.
Right.
Yeah, we made for all the points we made fun of. Yeah, they were kind of cheesy. It was I could say was the word that would describe the show to me. This episode was cheese. It was cheesy. I am going to rave about Jude Law just like you guys did. He was the best part of this show. He was the best part of this episode. Kind of reminds me of Benicio del Toro's character in The Last Jedi. How he just did his thing, and then he obviously didn't redeem himself, but then he was never heard of again. And I thought that was kind of weird how he was never heard from again. But I like how Jod, they can have another story with Jod. They didn't kill him like I thought they were going to do. I thought he was going to either end up dead by his own works or he was going to get killed in battle, something like that. But that didn't happen, so it was a kid's show. I can see why that didn't happen. So they could always have another show, but you know what? I am not for it. I would not be for another season of this show. I don't think it was good enough to do that. This episode, I'm going to give a 4.5, just under average. And for overall show, I don't know. I don't know if I've been rating them this high during the season, but I think I gave the Acolyte a 5. And this is definitely better than the Acolyte, but it's definitely nowhere near what we're about to see in Andor in March. So,
April.
What's that?
April 22nd is season
April,
2.
okay. And I did like Ahsoka better than this show. So I'm going to give the overall show a 5.5.
Okay.
Attack on Show says harsh. That is
What do
what
you
we
expect?
Yeah, that is Dave. He's giving you his honest opinion,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all we can hope for.
That's
Now-
what's great about us. That's why more people need to watch Not Your Status Quo, because we are three honest nerds and we don't always agree, and that's perfectly fine.
we very rarely agree. There are those special moments, like the Acolyte,
Raven.
Craven, or in a positive
Venom
way, Deadpool and Wolverine,
Yeah.
Andor.
and yes, Andor,
The
which
Penguin.
the Penguin, another excellent
Penguin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Brad has a question. I think this is a good way to end our Star Wars portion of the show.
Okay.
If you were to rewatch one of the shows, which one would you rewatch next between The Mandalorian and Andor? Andor.
Andor season 1.
Andor.
Easily.
Yeah.
I've already rewatched it multiple times. If you were to tell me that I couldn't watch Andor, I'd probably rewatch Ahsoka, just because it's got enough good scenes to carry me through. It's not all perfect, but it has a couple of dumbness, and I think they overhyped ghosty cloudy dude, whatever his name was, Milo.
Galactus.
Sure.
Ghosty Cloudy dude.
Yeah, when they cut him in half, smoke came out.
Oh yeah. Oh, that everyone thought was the
Yeah.
Clone
he's
or-
actually this person. It's like, no, he's just smoking a suit. Oh, okay.
For the most part, I definitely enjoyed Ahsoka too. The finale was just a little lackluster.
Yeah.
It's like it built up and it could have done, and it just was kind of like, okay, he's gone now, and these people are still here. Oh, and hey, Ezra's showing up in a stormtrooper hat. Hey, you guys, remember me? I flew out on some
That seems
whales.
to be a thing that happens with a lot of these. It's like they have a lot of build-up, but it's like they don't quite know how to end them.
Sounds like a J.J. Abrams story.
Kinda, yeah. It's weird.
Jar Jar Abrams.
That would be the biggest twist if it turned out Jar Jar was real all along, and he was the one responsible for for writing The Force Awakens, but also Lost.
An Attack on Show says Ezra wearing full stormtrooper gear was so dumb. Yes, it was.
It was very dumb.
How he did not get blasted, I don't know.
I was low-key hoping he'd get shot for being such an idiot. It would have been more realistic, really.
I would have enjoyed that also. I think that would have been, stop playing games, dude. This is what happens when you play jokes like this.
You know what?
And then we just hear a voiceover. So Ahsoka's mission was for nothing at all.
I think they needed much more Sabine on that show, right, Sierra?
You know what?
Are
We
you
very
still there?
completely agree, but everyone, including Sierra, always said more Sabine, and if we need more Sabine in season 2. It should
Sabine
be
is our
renamed
queen.
Sabine Wren season 1.
I'd go for that. I'd watch that show.
Attack on the Show says, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I say that to my kids so often.
That's true.
One day they'll learn it. But okay. We talked about Skeleton Crew. It's
We
over.
did.
Some of us are hoping for season 2. And a lot of people are out there saying that Lucasfilm is leaning towards it at this point. Whether they know anything about Lucasfilm or not, who knows? But
What you doing there, Dave?
I'm leaning towards it.
hopefully that's a positive sign. Hopefully we'll get some news one way or another, instead of like the Acolyte, them saying nothing for like a year and a half, and then just saying, it's canceled. Oh, what's that over there? But we've got something else to talk about tonight, which is Daredevil Born Again. This show is coming out March 4th. We had nothing except some leaked footage from D23 to go on. It set a new record for Marvel Television, Marvel Studios, in that the least amount of days before it is coming out that we actually saw something. And then it got delayed. It was originally supposed to come out Monday, and it got delayed because of the LA wildfires and all of that. But we do have it. And I have fixed my being able to hear it while it plays in OBS. So, what do you say, gentlemen? Should we take a peek
Take it away, Keith.
at the Daredevil Born Again trailer?
I think we should.
I'm glad you guys didn't say no. I don't know why I asked. I just should have done it.
No.
No, we don't want to watch it. Okay,
No,
so
I don't
there's,
want to watch it.
there's a
Dumb.
few rumors out that we should talk about.
Gotta
No.
go.
All right, you ready?
Do it. Do it now.
Thank you for finding the time. I will admit it. It's not entirely unpleasant seeing you again.
Can I just say the tension between them two at that table is just off the charts amazing. Those two sitting at a table just talking, and you can just feel and hear with the cracking of the knuckles the tension between those two. This is an uneasy alliance. You know, the rumor is that they're going to be teaming up to take on Muse, who we'll see in a little bit. And it definitely feels that way. This is not My Dinner with Andre.
Now, this is another outstanding actor. Vincent D'Onofrio was, in my opinion, I think he was perfect for this role. And the way that he is displaying himself, the way that he is, the subtle movement of his hands, exactly as you were saying, like the tension, you can kind of feel it, and you can see it just the way he's twitching. He's not sitting still, and you can see it in every bit of his, the way that he's carrying himself, his body, that he's put himself into this role. Like, I see him, and I'm like, that is a Kingpin.
Oh yeah, I think every one of these actors that is cast on the Daredevil show has been perfect.
Yes.
A lot of time has
Let's see
passed.
some more, Keith. What do you say?
By the look of it, you've come up in the world.
I can say the same about you.
A mayor serves his city.
Right there, best scene ever.
We do. They both. Hey, it's been a while. You know, you seem to be coming up in the world. We see him with Foggy and Karen walking down the street, which originally they were not going to be brought back for this. So thankfully they are. We do find out that Mr. Fisk is the mayor of New York.
So, he got elected off screen. All right.
We maybe they'll have flashbacks to the whole election, or maybe not.
He
Maybe we'll
mentioned
have an
it-
entire episode just dedicated to his campaign.
He mentioned
don't
it
do
in
that.
Echo. That's what he was going to do.
Yep.
So that's all you need.
Honestly, it really is. We don't need any flashbacks. You know, we can tell the story. But did you see?
The billboard for Rogers the Musical? I did.
There was another chart there. Not just Rogers the Musical, which, listen, Marvel Studios, let it go.
They're gonna do
Nobody liked Rogers the Musical.
Yes, we
it was
did.
the
Do it.
worst post-credit scene ever. Please stop pushing it on us. We don't want it. Nobody wants it. Please stop.
Please promise me that the end credit scene for this is going to be the next song in Rogers the Musical. Please make it happen.
There was another billboard, though, and I don't know if you guys saw it or not, for the Harlem Paradise, where Cottonmouth was in the Luke Cage series. So they have made the first Luke Cage Netflix canon policy in the MCU in that. Oh, and Attack on Show says, wonder what his immigration policies are. Oh, I think we know.
Entirely convinced.
Can you blame me? I can't shake the feeling that you're gaming the system.
Why did you stop being a vigilante?
The line was crossed.
I mean, you can still, this whole back and forth between them. I have a feeling that you don't trust me. Well, do you blame me? Why'd you stop being a vigilante? A line was crossed. Which, I don't know what that scene is with his helmet falling with the horn popped off. It'll be interesting to see what it was that he felt crossed the line and made him, give up being Daredevil for a bit, because he's not afraid to get a little brutal with people that he feels deserve it. And I wonder if something happened where he was wrong about somebody, and
he's never killed anyone though, has he?
Attack on show.
Oh no! That was a lot.
He crossed the line there for sure.
Hooking up with She-Hulk. You know what? Honestly, I would too. I'm sorry. I like big green girls.
Me too. I don't blame him one bit. Jennifer Walters or She-Hulk, we're all good. But
dude, you put me, She-Hulk, and Gamora in a room together, I'll probably be in the closet watching. But still, no.
You're usually dressed up as Superman, of course.
But it's obviously going to take something to bring him back to it. And I think Muse, who we're going to see here in a minute, is going to be the thing that brings it out. And it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Because obviously, we saw like the painting of of the Kingpin, Wilson Fisk, kind of with the Muse sort of thing over it. Like, he's a target of Muse. And he seems a little worried about it. So
Muse is a cat, right? It's spelled M-E-W-S?
No, sir. For those of you that don't know, Muse is like basically a serial killer that is very artistic in the way he kills, and he sets things up with it to try to put a scene about. And it's very shocking that Disney is adding that character to this show. And with the way how brutal this trailer is, I think they have the potential to do that character right. Cross our fingers and hope.
See, here's why I'm not so shocked by that. I think they tested the waters with Echo to see how much violence they could get away with. And I think once they were sure that people were into it, I think at that point they're like, all right, now we can go ahead and go forward with bringing back, like, it seemed like they were hesitant to bring back the Netflix incarnations of Daredevil, of Punisher. But now it seems like, yeah, people watch it. Well, we can get away with this.
They realized if they didn't, there'd be a full-on mutiny against the MCU.
It's got to be brutal. These shows, they're, that's just who these characters are. And again, hopefully Marvel sees this and they realize, you know what, we can do street-level stuff and people are going to dig it.
And you can't take it to where those Netflix shows were and then drop it back.
Exactly.
You're right, Dave.
It's hard to come to terms with the violent nature. Hating the power it has over us.
We do see, very interesting, him talking about dealing with that violent aspects of ourselves. And we see White Tiger, unsuited up, fighting in the subway. So I wonder if that's going to be a common theme kind of throughout this first season of Born Again, dealing with the violence and the things that go on, because, they have to reach a certain level. And it does look like Matt Murdock is going to go pretty far in this series and maybe question if he's gone too far again, or just what is the right level of, violence that should be dished out to these people. And that is the best scene. Pause it there just for a minute. Why I say that's the best scene, seeing Bullseye being in prison just shows that what happened at the end of season 3 of Daredevil on Netflix is leading. It's canon. It's leading over to this. So, spoiler alert, I'm sure he gets out. And I'm sure maybe not even in this series, maybe not even in this season, but I think he's going to be there in the Kingpin if he does sort of start implementing Devil's Reign I shouldn't say Devil's Reign, but starts implementing policies from Devil's Reign, which is, making vigilantism a crime, and then bringing about villains to enforce this as a Thunderbolts type team. They won't be called the Thunderbolts because obviously we're getting that somewhere else. But bringing a Bullseye to pose as like a city sort of enforcer, not an enforcer, but a cop or something along those lines to stop vigilantism would be a good way to go. Because if we could get Bullseye running around fighting Spider-Man and Daredevil and Punisher and stuff, I will throw all my money at it because that is all we've ever wanted.
Sometimes peace needs to be broken. Chaos must reign.
Just going to stop it there so we can see the Punisher scene after it. But, you know, we see Vanessa back, the original actress. She was originally replaced, and we see the original Vanessa actress back for this, which is good news. You know, we see Muse just for a moment there, you know, with the thing. And then we're about to see what is Doug's dad's favorite scene in the trailer. And probably a lot of people's, because it was rumored, I think it was even confirmed at one point, but to actually seeing it in the trailer makes us all very happy.
Mind putting the hatchet down?
Oh, I love the whole picture.
You wonder how he got to that point where he is, and obviously he's probably going to have a coming
I saw the
out
show.
party.
I don't wonder.
No, true.
Season 2 of The Punisher really did that to him right there.
Yeah.
And to see him pull himself out of that, because, you know, he wasn't born in the darkness.
Wrong character.
Oh, sorry, that's right. But it's good to see, once again, you know, we've seen Bullseye in jail, seeing Frank Castle where he's at after the second season of Punisher. Everything from the Netflix series seems to be canon. We got the Luke Cage reference. Sorry, Kerry, no Iron Fist yet. But I'm sure we'll get something at some point.
Forget Jessica Jones.
They've got somebody in Marvel that they just hired to sit there and erase every instance of Luke, or not of Luke Cage, of Iron Fist, sitting there erasing it out of every cell.
In the first
Okay.
in the first scene between Punisher, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage, to be like, remember when the four of us teamed up to fight Sigourney Weaver? Yep, just the four of us.
And no one else.
Yep.
I was raised to believe in grace. But I was also raised to believe in retribution.
Just hearing Matt Murdock's little speech about how he, you know, is a devout Catholic and all these things, but he also believes in retribution and the things, you know, he'll do to bring justice and stuff. That is exactly what Daredevil is, and this show seemingly got it right to a T. And just knowing that this character, Muse, is going to be the thing that probably makes Daredevil and Kingpin work together is only going to make it that much more grinding to both of them, that they need each other's help. And we're probably going to see, once Muse is stopped, here's my hope. You know, Wilson Fisk does start implementing anti-vigilante sort of laws going against Daredevil, and this is where Spider-Man 4 picks up, with Spider-Man and Daredevil basically fighting against Kingpin's forces and trying to, you know, basically free the city. Now, for those of you who play the home game, Luke Cage did become the next mayor of New York, beating the Kingpin in an election to kind of take it out. And I wonder if they're going to go that route, you know, have this all play out with him being the mayor and trying to take out all the heroes, and then maybe, you know, bring a Luke Cage or someone else to be the next mayor. It'll be interesting to see if they decide to go that route or if they have a better plan. Oh, and I almost forgot. That scene where we saw all of the different masks.
Mm-hmm.
Little bit of trivia for those of you that don't know that. Matt Murdock thinks they're all the same color.
Is that actually true? Is it from the comics, or are you
He doesn't see
Because it's
color.
hilarious.
Yeah, no, he doesn't see color. And I saw that scene and I kind of laughed at myself. I'm like, he wouldn't know which one's
Right.
gold or yellow, or I'm like,
Right.
to him they're just the mask. He just sees the shape. He doesn't see color.
You know what that made me think of? Peacemaker. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you know, we went in there with all the different helmets.
No, that didn't even cross my mind. God, I forgot all about that. But yeah, like I can imagine him going to, you know, the superhero costume maker and like, did you get me my my new red suit? Yes, red, exactly as you ordered it. Great. This is gonna
Hey,
be
why are you
perfect.
wearing gold? Hey, you told me it was red.
Hey, Gold
What if he
Devil.
mixes and matches? What if he grabs like a yellow helmet and then like a blue suit?
What are you, Blue Beetle this week?
Because he doesn't know.
Hey, look, it's the colorblind devil.
Wait a minute. You know what? Is he Matt Murdock, the blind lawyer?
That's ruined my whole persona, man.
How could
Damn
a
it, they figured out my identity.
how could a blind guy fight like that? No way, it's him.
God, this right here is like just back-to-back brutal scenes. Oh, man.
They really took those last few seconds of that trailer to let you know this is definitely going to be TVMA.
And I love the logo, by the way. I'm really enjoying that. That looks nice.
Yeah, I dug it too. That was all around. I see no flaws in that trailer. The
No.
only thing I hope is that they didn't Zack Snyder us and put that trailer together and the rest of the show is, you know, not up to the same snuff. But I can't imagine, you know, Vincent
I was
D'Onofrio.
waiting for a singing siren.
No, that's in the director's cut.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
We'll see that when Matt Murdock returns to LA for a case and he goes over to She-Hulk's house. And
It's going to be the people from that one singing planet that Captain Marvel went to.
oh yeah,
They're gonna come and visit to try and you know, get on good relations with Earth. Like, hey, hello, we're friends with Captain Marvel.
And of course, you know, the rest of the cast from Rogers the Musical. You know,
Oh yeah, there you go.
Please.
Oh man, please.
Marvel Studios, stop with Rogers the Musical.
Marvel Studios, give us more so I can laugh at Keith. It's the
It
only
can't be
thing that'll bring
stopped.
me joy.
You know, Doug, and I was hoping that Urkel the space pirate died when their ship went down. Now I hope he lives.
I know.
He'll be back in season 2.
Right? God, how is he still alive? Oh, he should have died so many times.
He really should have.
Oh, you know what? Quick skeleton crew tangent. What would have been perfect is if he would have been like the only one to actually get a shot off, but like hit one of the kids, and then that's how it ends, where they're arresting him specifically for like murder. Like all the other pirates, they're just like, hey, you know, you're on for invading a planet, threatening piracy. Oh, but you did a murder, so you're definitely going to prison for life. Like, and he's the only one. Hey, wait, guys!
Yeah,
I
we're
would've
taking your little prosthetic.
so happy. Yeah, just take his thing off.
Hope you
And he
don't
just-
need this.
He has a normal face. Why did you have that? I just thought it looked
That
cool.
was cool.
It made me talk like this. Takes it off. He's like, hey, what are you guys doing?
Oh man, but sorry. Back to something good.
Yes, back to Daredevil. My hype level was pretty high for this. I did have, you know, the worry in the back of my mind, like, are they going to be able to pull this off? Are they going to be able to bring back Daredevil and have it to be as good as the Netflix series? And this trailer seems to indicate they definitely are going to. I mean, the fact that they're taking a villain that is not kid friendly in any way, very dark, very crazy. And I mean, we even see that one scene where like whatever he did to Matt set Matt off because Matt was beating the living crap out of him. He was very angry about something. And I don't know if it's going to be him, him doing something to Foggy or Karen or his new girlfriend that we saw in this trailer, but he's going to do something and it's going to set Matt off. So the tone seems exactly where it should be.
Yeah. See, my hype level is also through the roof for this, and honestly, I'm so weirdly optimistic for it, but I think a lot of it boils down to how well Deadpool and Wolverine did. I think if Disney can allow something like that to just be, trust the directors, trust the writers, they know that it's super violent, they know that it's a lot of bad, they know that it's a hard R rating in the theaters. I think they're finally allowing themselves to realize we can have mature shows. This is what people expect. If you're going to tell me that you're going to have a continuation of the same Daredevil, Matt Murdock, and Punisher from the Netflix series, you better keep them the same and then really amp it up. I mean, there's no, PG-13 way to do that. So you're going to have to give me a full mature rating, and I'm fine with that. Do that. And I think I trust Disney enough right now because of Daredevil and Wolverine that my hype level is kind of through the roof of this, and I don't think they're going to screw it up.
I didn't see Daredevil and Wolverine.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
Deadpool and Wolverine. Thank you.
Oh, that one. Yeah. And I hope you're right, Doug. I hope they are learning that, hey, let the directors and the creatives do their thing because they see that it pays off. It hits a lot better with audiences when it's something like that and not something that feels like the executives are like, hey, you know what we need in this? Something funny for kids. No, you don't.
We need a talking animal. Where are we going to get a talking animal for this show?
That would be great if Squirrel Girl shows up in this.
Oh. Now introducing Daredevil's sidekick, Daredevil Jr. Say here, mister, will you take me on your crime-fighting adventure? I'm a precocious kid.
Oh no, audience. I don't think we should watch what he's doing right now. That is not nice. We want to see it.
We just hear those sound effects off screen.
You just see him walking into a hallway with a bunch of villains, and then they pan to Deadpool or Daredevil Jr. You don't want to watch that scene. The F we don't.
That's the only reason I turned it on.
God, yeah, after watching that trailer. Oh, especially at the very end of the trailer. I mean, just so brutal. Every sound. Oh, perfection.
Breaking the guy's leg, like breaking his arm.
Seeing the bones in the arm. Oh my God, that was so good.
They are not holding back. Man, I am looking forward to March 4th getting here. And the rumor is that season 2 starts filming in February. So I'm hoping they know they have a hit on their hands and they're just making sure that we don't have to wait 3.5 years to get season 2 of Daredevil. That they're fast tracking it with quality, withstanding. Don't rush it too fast. But man, shows these days you can get years and years between seasons and you forget what the heck happened in the other seasons before the next one comes out. I don't think we're going to have that problem here.
I would like it when they had 18 episodes planned to begin with. So, all right, they have a game plan at least, It's not like, oh, crap, we got to scramble and think of another topic for season 2. They already have something. So, that's fun.
Well, they had something. That original 18-episode arc was prior to them scrapping it and redoing it all. That was before they brought back Foggy and Karen and the Punisher and a few other things. So they did have an 18-episode arc planned, but that was prior to them revamping the entire show.
Oof. I wonder what it was originally. Boy.
They filmed almost the entire first season. of Daredevil.
So then I wonder how much of that is going to make its way, like, editing-wise into this. Like, did they do a bunch of reshoots just to, like, fill in the gaps for the new story? Like, I am curious.
They
Like,
reshot the whole thing.
oh, wow. That's a lot of work. Holy moly's. I did not know that.
Which, kudos to them for seeing that it might not be living up to what people expect, and listening and changing it. If that is actually what happened.
I wonder then if, like, when they finally do release, like, the Blu-ray of Daredevil Born Again, I wonder if they're going to include on there, what they had filmed for what was originally going to be that. I don't know if you guys ever saw, but they did that for Anchorman. The original movie that they had filmed and put together was totally different from what ended up in theaters.
I did not know that.
And they ended up including it as, like, a special feature. And it was basically the length of a whole movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It essentially was the guys that, were part of the news team sitting around a table at a restaurant talking about all their crazy adventures, and then it would do, like, a Family Guy cutaway gag to one of the funny scenes that we would end up seeing in Anchorman, like them fighting the other news teams and everything. And that's what the original movie was. Clearly, I'm assuming somebody saw it and said, absolutely not, reshoot this, do it again. And I'm wondering if something like that happened with Daredevil. Did somebody, they show it to test audiences and like, this is terrible, do not do this.
Well, and the lady who was playing, the new actress they got to play Vanessa, filmed an entire season. And then they scrapped her role. So hopefully she got paid. But man, that would...
Oh, I'm sure she did. I don't think it'd be allowed for you to do work.
They definitely paid her, but you got to think she was thinking, "Oh, there's going to be multiple seasons, and I'm going to be in Daredevil." And
residuals.
Sorry, we're bringing back the original actress.
Right. Which I never looked into it. Why was there a different actress?
They were going a totally different route. Like originally, Foggy and Karen weren't coming back. There was no Punisher. And I don't know the full story of what the first season was, but they were filming it, and I don't remember what it was that made them say, we need to stop what we're doing right now and redo this whole thing. And they did. They rewrote it from start to finish. But they have said...
You think after these, there's going to be 2 seasons at least, right?
They said they have plans for up to 4 to 5 seasons.
Okay, so that was my next question. Do you think, because I already do think he could carry his own movies, series of movies, this character, and I was gonna say, do you think that that's what they'll switch to after the second season?
They could. I mean, I definitely would not be opposed to it. He could definitely carry. I would be there opening night, whether we were reviewing it or not, for a Daredevil movie. So he definitely could. I mean, he could even, there is even talk. They must have high hopes for this because, we're starting to hear that, Daredevil's going to show up in Avengers Doomsday. And, he's going to show up in Secret Wars and everything. So they must be watching this and going, okay, this is fantastic. We need to, make sure this character is used properly, but keeps showing up.
See, now that has me worried. Because anytime a studio sees something like that and they get this idea in their head, like, oh, this is going to do good, we're going to get a lot of viewers, what they're actually thinking is, this is going to make us so much money, put him in literally everything. Alright, so in this movie, the Avengers are actually going to go to space. And Daredevil's with them? What? No, why would he? No. Why would you send Daredevil? No, God, no. Daredevil is with them. Sure, I guess. I don't...
Okay, fine.
He looked like he got stuck in the engine and out as soon as they left the Earth, and he's back on Earth. That's what we're going to do with that.
He was doing some legal consultation for Tony Stark. And, Tony Stark. For Sam Wilson. And he ended up being on the shuttle, the Quinjet out in space. Oh, yeah, that's good. Okay.
Now, when we get to this battle with Galactus, and of course Daredevil's fighting him too. Sure, Daredevil hits him with a stick or so. I don't know.
It's a billy club, Doug.
Daredevil on Planet Hulk. and he kicks Hulk's ass.
Oh.
There is a cover of Daredevil. I'm gonna have to find it, where he's fighting the Hulk, and you just see him like holding his billy club, and like you just see the Hulk's like arm kind of coming at him. He gets trashed, but he's just trying to.
You think?
He's just trying to lead the Hulk away from the city. Like the Hulk's rampaging, and he's getting his attention and taking the beating, just to lead him away from innocence, which is what heroes do. Unless you're in a Zack Snyder film, and then you just destroy the city with the villain.
Then you don't save anybody.
Yes.
In fact,
Right.
you actually cause more damage and death. But, you know, so my experience with Daredevil, comic book wise, is his stories remind me a little bit of Moon Knight, where depending on who the writer is, his abilities, what he's capable of, what he can do, it varies from writer and artist. So depending on what they need him to do in whatever story they're telling. Like, sometimes he's just a really skilled fighter who happens to be blind. Other times he has like echolocation powers and he can kind of see, but it's a blurry red. Other times the chemicals that he was doused with also somehow gave him super strength. Again, it just depends on who's writing for him. I think from what I've watched from the show, you know, the Netflix show, I think this is pretty much your normal Daredevil. He doesn't have any superpowers other than he's just like a really skilled fighter. He's Batman.
They've shown his radar
But not
sense,
rich.
haven't they?
Yeah, I guess. Okay, basically. So he's got a really good hearing too.
Yeah.
But it's not, to me, it doesn't come off as supernatural.
Well, he doesn't have super strength. He doesn't have durability. You know, he much like we like to see. You know, he gets his butt kicked. He's hurting for a while. You know, he's.
And I'm fine with that. I'm totally okay. I don't want you guys to think that like I'm complaining about that. No, that's good. It's good to have like a more grounded, normal hero. Just, I kind of like, you know, the other people like, oh yeah, so I built this high tech suit. Oh, I built these web slingers and I've got super strength. I'm blind. Oh. Cool.
Hawkeye, you know, in Hawkeye's series, he had to recover from all of his injuries.
Yeah.
And I love that. That was
too.
one of
We
my
praised
favorite
that at the
things
time.
is the fact that we came off Black Widow and how unrealistic and dumb that was to Hawkeye, and I don't think enough people gave it a chance because it was, in my opinion, it was a good show, and I think they did Hawkeye right.
I think it was borderline great show. I want to watch it again. I think they did a really good job on that show. You know, there's been rumors we're getting a Hawkeye season 2.
I'd be fine with that. That'd be great.
I know. I hope it's true. And supposedly they're casting an A-lister to be Trickshot, which is Clint's brother,
Okay.
Barney.
Huh.
So that'd be interesting. But yeah, these, you know, we always got that line from Age of Ultron. I'm gonna butcher it, where he's like, you know, we've got robots fighting, you know, gods out there, and I'm shooting arrows. But you know what? If you walk out that door, you're an Avenger.
Well said, Clint. Well said.
Yes. Thank you. And there's room for all of this. We talked about this with the DCU and how, you know, James Gunn basically said, hey, we're going to just tell stories. We're going to let writers and, you know, actors do their thing and just tell stories. There will be an overarching story that we touch on, but not everything's going to touch it. And we could start seeing that, hopefully in the MCU. You know, we get Spider-Man and Daredevil taking on Kingpin, while, you know, Doctor Doom is ravaging the Fantastic Four and the Avengers.
That would be fine as long as they're not doing it because they see DC and James Gunn doing it. Do it because it makes sense for your stories, it makes sense for your characters. That's where I think a lot of these studios get confused. They see what everybody else is doing and they just want to do the same because they know that it's going to get views, get money. But they're not thinking about how it's going to affect the world that they've created. Because, I mean, it's their fault. They created a multiverse. You know,
Well,
they
that's
didn't
what,
have to do.
that's what I was going to say. They're seeing how trying to tie every project into the multiverse, because it's the multiversal saga, has lowered, you know, the quality of a lot
Hey.
of these shows. So
Multiverse is awesome. What are you talking about?
it can be awesome.
Right, I forgot we didn't return the real Dave yet.
I know Dave's going to be excited. Dave and Tundra Walker are going to be excited when Ben Affleck's Daredevil shows up with Charlie Cox in Secret Wars. And Jon Favreau's Foggy Nelson shows up. But once again, they could tell, we've talked about this a lot too. Sony trying to make the next Spider-Man movie. It's got to be bigger than No Way Home. We have to bring actors who weren't Spider-Man, but people thought they should be Spider-Man and be Spider-Man and have 20 Spider-Men fighting. No, you don't need to do that.
Yeah, sure.
You can have Daredevil and Spider-Man going up against Kingpin, and it will make billions of dollars. You don't have to try to, hey, this worked so well, let's do something like it again. Do something different. Take a chance and do something that hasn't been done before, because you got a much better chance of it being successful than coming out with the same stuff over and over again. The only show I've ever seen that keeps doing the same thing over and over again and is successful is Family Guy. I love it, don't get me wrong, but it repeats jokes over and over again and it's still funny. Don't make that mistake. And you're right, Doug, don't do it because DC, James Gunn is doing it with the DCU. Do it because you learned your lesson that making everything have to be connected in some crazy way, limits the quality, and it handcuffs the writers and creatives on a series or a movie to, how am I going to shoehorn this in now to make a part of the multiverse? Get away from that. If we have the mutant saga next, have shows that don't have any mutants in them, and it just tells another story somewhere else.
A lot of people said that Phase 1 of the MCU did it best, where they had some vague, kind of more or less tied together, mostly in the end credit scenes, and every now and again you'd see a little Easter egg, and if you missed it, it didn't impact the story. It was like a nice little, if you knew what they were showing, it's like, oh, hey, that's cool. The map that showed Wakanda, it's like, oh, okay, that's nice. If you notice it, but if you don't pick up on it, it's not going to hamper your viewing of the movie. And I think that was the best when it was like unintentional, when it was like, yeah, it's, connected, but we're still going to do our own thing. These are going to be their own movies. And, when they do have their final crossover event, that's all it's going to be. But then it was like, because Avengers was so successful, they're like, everything needs to be Avengers.
Yeah.
It's like you get worried that everything needs to be Deadpool and Wolverine now, too. Because that movie was so successful. It doesn't need to be. It'll lose its charm if that's all you do.
Yeah, completely.
And it'll get really expensive trying to get all those A-listers in the same movie all the time. And then those movies won't make any money if they're not any good, which if they continue to do that, everybody's already seen it. They're not going to keep going back for it.
The other issue is they still haven't gotten, full theaters yet. They still don't have the amount of people going out to see movies the way, pre-pandemic numbers. They don't make as much with these shows as they would if they streamed, on a cable TV where they've got big companies that are marketing, showing their commercials and paying buku bucks. Streaming, it just doesn't make them as much money. So it's... If they want to keep bringing in these big name actors, they're going to have to do something to afford it.
You're right. Well, on that note, gentlemen, it is getting late. Should we find somebody to raid?
Well, say something happy first. I don't want it to be on a sour Doug note.
Oh, you're right. Something happy and good. Let's see.
Come on, Silver Lining Keith. Any last minute? I heard that the new rumor, Thor 4.
There is a rumor about Thor.
Yep.
That George Miller is going to direct it.
Really?
Yep.
He's going to be a little darker?
Maybe people said that the last one was just too goofy.
I think it was. Definitely was.
Especially when you have Gore as the villain, making it that goofy.
Yeah, they wasted him. And why are you going to include dying of cancer Natalie Portman in a goofball movie? Like,
yeah, they They had way too many themes and craziness going on to fit into one movie. But not only George Miller wanting to direct Thor 4 and has been in talks, Doctor Strange 3 supposedly going into production in 2026,
Cool.
and Shang-Chi 2 going into production in
nice.
2026. So
I liked Shang-Chi. That was a good movie.
That's the forgotten about one. No one ever mentions that when they
And
talk about
that's a
the
shame because it was a freaking excellent fight scenes. Except for the stupid dragon. That's my only complaint. I thought Sky Dragon was dumb as hell, but everything else is really cool.
I didn't mind the Sky Dragon as much, but I also felt like it wasn't necessarily needed. They felt like, oh, we need some big monster type at the end when
Yeah,
his
that's
dad
exactly.
was villain enough.
I know. They were afraid. Like, we need a sky beam and a monster. The writer, no, we really don't. I mean, we've got this guy who we've said has been living for thousands of years. He was probably Genghis Khan. Sky Dragon.
And he captured poor Trevor Slattery and has held him prisoner for all these
Right.
years.
That's the worst thing he could have done.
He hasn't had it that bad though, right?
Hey, he's had a pretty good life there. All right, on that note, on that positivity,
Yes.
I only got a couple. I got Bubble and I got Ms. K-Beam.
I've got Tiny Velker.
oh, and she playing Marvel Rivals. T-Pain is on. Just chatting.
Nice. Let's rate him.
Let's do it. I like that.
If he lets us. I don't know what kind of settings he might have.
Oh, and let's see, Pivotal, T-Brig, cheap viewers on steamboo.com. Remove the space.
Boy,
Oh, shit.
Thank you.
I
We
don't
like
know why we don't talk to those people more often.
we like to have our viewers not so cheap. We want them to be educated and demure.
We only service a certain type of viewer.
Yes.
There's a channel on here called
Absolutely.
Actual Gordon Keith.
Indubitably.
You should read that one, right, Keith?
Do what one?
There's a channel on here called Actual Gordon Keith, and it's got your name in it. So I was thinking we should rate it.
That's the most unmasculine male name.
Gordon.
All right.
All right.
But for those of you on YouTube, we are rating somebody. That is something we do on Twitch, where we send our viewers to another content creator that we enjoy and we want to share our viewers with. There is a way to kind of do it on YouTube, but it has to be someone that's live that we know is going to be live. We just can't look them up at the last minute and do it. We're going to figure out how to do it, but we're not yet. But thanks for watching. We will be back next Thursday. We'll be talking about Darwin's Game. We're going to be doing a little anime until your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man and Daredevil and Invincible and everything else picks up. But we got a little more anime to do, so please come join us next Thursday when we talk about that. And please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Things, help our channel a lot and are free to you. So please do it.
Hey fellow nerds, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.